So they took away the stone. And Jesus raised his eyes upward, and said, Father, I thank thee that thou didst hear me, and I knew that thou always hearest me. But for the sake of the multitude standing around, I said it, that they might believe that thou didst send me. And having thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth! And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus says to them, Loose him, and let him go. Many therefore of the Jews who came to Mary and saw what he did believed on him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus did. Therefore the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered a council and said, What do we, seeing that this man works many signs? If we let him thus alone, all will believe on him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. And a certain one of them, Caiaphas, being high priest that year, said to them, Ye know nothing, nor do ye consider that it is expedient for us that one man die for the people, and not the whole nation perish. And this he spoke not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but that also he should gather together into one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Therefore from that day forth they took counsel together to put him to death. Jesus therefore no longer walked openly among the Jews, but departed thence to the country near to the wilderness, to a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and many went up to Jerusalem out of the country before the Passover, that they might purify themselves. They sought therefore for Jesus, and said among themselves, as they stood in the temple, What think ye, that he will not come to the feast? Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment that, if any one knew where he was, he should make it known, that they might seize him. Chapter 12. Therefore Jesus, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, who had been dead, whom Jesus raised from the dead. They therefore made him a supper there, and Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those who reclined at table with him. Then Mary took a pound of ointment of pure spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then says one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who was about to betray him, Why was not this ointment sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? This he said not because he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had the bag, and bore what was put therein. Then said Jesus, Let her alone. She has kept it to the day of my preparation for burial. For the poor ye always have with you, but me ye have not always. A great multitude of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came, not because of Jesus only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he raised from the dead. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, because by reason of him many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus. On the morrow a great multitude that had come to the feast, hearing that Jesus is coming to Jerusalem, took branches of the palm trees and went forth to meet him, and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel. And Jesus, having found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written, Fear not, daughter of Zion, behold, thy king comes, sitting on an ass's colt. These things his disciples understood not at the first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things were written of him, and that they did these things to him. The multitude therefore that was with him when he called Lazarus out of the tomb, and raised him from the dead, bore witness. For this the multitude also met him, because they heard that he had wrought this sign. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, Perceive ye that ye avail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. And there were certain Greeks, of those who come up to worship at the feast. These came therefore to Philip, who was from Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, "We would see Jesus." Philip comes and tells Andrew. Andrew and Philip come and tell Jesus. And Jesus answered them, saying, "The hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily, verily, I say to you, except the grain of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abides alone. But if it die, it brings forth much fruit. He that loves his life shall lose it, and he that hates his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any one serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any one serve me, him will the Father honor. Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this cause came I unto this hour. Father, glorify thy name. Then there came a voice out of heaven. I both have glorified it, and will glorify it again. The multitude therefore that stood by and heard said that it thundered. Others said, An angel has spoken to him. Jesus answered and said, This voice came not for my sake, but for your sakes. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men to me. This he said, signifying by what manner of death he should die. The multitude answered him, We heard out of the law that the Christ abides forever. And how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Jesus therefore said to them, Yet a little while is the light among you. Walk while ye have the light, that darkness may not overtake you. And he that walks in the darkness knows not whither he goes. While ye have the light, believe on the light, that ye may become sons of light. These things spoke Jesus, and departed, and hid himself from them. But though he had wrought so many signs before them, they did not believe on him, that the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke, Lord, who believed our report, and to whom was the arm of the Lord revealed? Therefore they could not believe, because Isaiah said again, He has blinded their eyes, and has hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, and understand with their heart, and turn, and I should heal them. These things said Isaiah, because he saw his glory, and spoke of him. Yet even of the rulers many believed on him. But because of the Pharisees they did not acknowledge him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. For they loved the glory of men more than the glory of God. And Jesus cried and said, He that believes on me believes not on me, but on him who sent me. And he that beholds me beholds him who sent me. I have come a light into the world, that whoever believes on me may not abide in the darkness. And if any one hear my words, and keep them not, I do not judge him. For I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He that rejects me, and receives not my words, has one that judges him. The word that I spoke, that shall judge him in the last day. Because I spoke not from myself, but the Father who sent me, he has given me a commandment, what I should say, and what I should speak. And I know that his commandment is everlasting life. What things I speak, therefore, as the Father has said to me, so I speak. Chapter 13. And before the feast of the Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour has come that he should depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, loved them to the end. And supper being served, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. Knowing that the Father has given all things into his hands, and that he came out from God and is going to God, he rises from the supper and lays aside his garments, and taking a towel, he girded himself. After that he pours water into the basin, and began to wash the feet of his disciples, and to wipe them with the towel with which he was girded. He comes therefore to Simon Peter, and Peter says to him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, What I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter says to him, Never shalt thou wash my feet. Jesus answered him,